Williams. And what they're saying in Cincinnati is that they're so happy to have Dexter Jackson, who comes over to play safety from Tampa, Super Bowl MVP, and Williams is healthy after injuring his shoulder last year.
The heart of that defense. You know, in baseball, the analogy is always you build a team inside out, catcher, pitcher, center field. I mean, infield-wise, that's what they've done in Cincinnati.
Shortstop.
Yeah, shortstop. They've got Simmons at middle linebacker for Odell Thurman, who's out for a month with a suspension. But bringing in Jackson and Williams and Sam Adams have brought an attitude to this defense they didn't have last year. Obviously, their stats showed that.
3rd down and 4 at the 45. Trent Green again, quickly sets up in the pocket, and he is gobbled up. Robert Geathers. And he's got some serious defensive lineman bloodlines. His uncle, Jumpy Geathers, had over 60 sacks as a pro.
Geathers just comes right over Jordan Black, the right tackle. I mean, literally right over Jordan Black and through his space right into Trent Green's lap. That's not an awesome pass rush from a speed standpoint. That's the entire pocket just collapsing on number 10, Trent Green.
Robert Geathers, 3 sacks last year, picks up his first of the season. A loss of 9. Chiefs punting it away. This one popped high in the air. Ratliff signals for the fair catch and has it at the 11-yard line. A 41-yard punt, no return. 10:18 remaining in the second quarter. Here comes Carson, and here comes the rain in KC. From AOL.com and Mark Burnett, the producer of Survivor, comes Gold Rush. Starting Wednesday, you can turn your pop culture knowledge into gold. Get the details at AOL.com/goldrush. Watch for it on CBS. 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line. Carson Palmer finds Chad Johnson, and he gets to the 20. Stopped by Derek Johnson, but you have to credit this Kansas City defense. They're playing extremely well.
Edwards and Reed specifically inside. I mean, Rudy Johnson, 4 carries for 10 yards. And Carson Palmer, 3 of 6 for 9 yards. So far, you know, everybody came to see the quarterbacks, came to see the offenses, and the highlight on both sides has been the D.
Hurry-up offense now being applied by Cincinnati.
Hello.
And Kavika Mitchell isn't having it.
Remember the old days of Zubaz and Hammer Time?
Kavika Mitchell named the starter on opening day last year. There's Gunther Cunningham, the defensive coordinator. He has his guys playing with a lot of energy. 3rd down and 1 at the 21.
Remember that multiple blitz look they've been giving Carson Palmer, and they really worked well.
Rudy Johnson looking for a yard, and he has it. As he hops across the 25 and gets to the 26. Mitchell with the tackle, a gain of 5. But let's talk about Rudy Johnson. Now, here's a man that's rushed for back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons. And last year, he did it, and he played the entire season with a tender knee.
Behind one heck of an offensive line.
No doubt about it. 1st down at the 26. Palmer calling the play at the line of scrimmage.
It's no small task to try to go like this and change things.
Rudy Johnson spinning, and he goes down at the 31. Jared Allen with the tackle, a 5-yard gain.
And they're going to keep this up. This is the offense. This is that hurry up we talked about in the open of this game. If Cincinnati gets this going on you, they get you on your heels, and that's when Carson Palmer can really go for a big shot.
2nd down and 5. Palmer underneath. Kelly Washington, nice catch, and he gets to the 42. Patrick Surtain with the tackle, 1st down.
That's what's been missing from this offense. The yak, the rack, the run after the catch. No TJ Houshmandzadeh with the bad heel. And this offense just doesn't seem quite the same without him. But on this drive, they seem to be adjusting.
Houshmandzadeh, 78 catches last year, 956 yards. He only started 12 games because of a hand injury. 1st and 10 at the 41. Palmer up the sideline. Chad Johnson. And he makes the catch and goes out of bounds at the 44, a 15-yard pickup.
You know, much like Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison get out early and throw together before a game, Carson Palmer and Chad Johnson were out there, you know, 2 hours before the game throwing those very kind of routes.
Rudy Johnson with the pitch. And he goes out of bounds at about the 39. And there's TJ Hushmanzada along with Chad Johnson.
And that's what they're missing. I mean, that's a chunk out of this offense. But you see, this pace is different. It limits substitution, and it gets the big boys breathing a little hard, too.
Second down at 6. Man, this looks so much like Indianapolis.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Minus the hand signals. They're trying to scream everything out.
Quick strike. Chad Johnson with a spin, and he goes down at the 31. Ty Law covering. It's a 9-yard pickup.
Pretty simple idea here, really. You know, if you look up and you see a huge space, you take advantage of it. There's a huge space. Carson Palmer sees that and just zaps it. The heck with hand signals and screaming. You see that kind of a hole for your receiver. He's got to get you those yards.
Cincinnati with the no huddle finding their rhythm. First down at the Kansas City 31. To the sideline, caught. Johnson out of bounds again. And somehow Carson Palmer was able to put that ball in a shoebox.
We've got the Kansas City defense now off pace. We talked about being able to do this no huddle properly. It's got Kansas City out of sorts. Their timing's just off. It's kind of like a boxer who's hitting the other guy about 6 inches before the other guy is trying to hit him. It's just wrecking the timing.
5 completions in a row for Carson Palmer. Rudy Johnson running over the right side. He's stopped by Tamba Hali as Johnson gets to the 20-yard line. 2-yard gain.
Okay, now it's on the defense. We're getting close to red zone area again. So all this no huddle is pretty, but it's got to be a first down here. And once you get this first down and get in the red zone, if you're Cincinnati, you've got to get a touchdown.
And Kansas City has called timeout. They take a breather. Cincinnati driving. Back after this. Welcome back. 3rd down and 1 at the 22. Keep your eye on Rudy Johnson. He's 7 for his last 7 on 3rd down and 1. He's the deep man in the I formation. Jeremy Johnson, the up back. Kelly Washington in motion. Here's Rudy. First down and more. Johnson to the end zone. Touchdown, Cincy.
Man, that was just one tackle and go. 22 yards. One missed tackle by Kavika Mitchell coming through the middle. And as he comes through, there's a miss, good blocking, and Rudy makes you pay.
So Rudy Johnson gets into the end zone, his 34th career rushing touchdown.
And that's why you change the pace, Gus. That's why you go to the hurry up. You go to the no huddle. You change the game, you change the strategy.
Extra point up and good. 5:15 to play in the second quarter. Bengals take a 10-3 lead. Rudy Johnson picking them up and putting them down.
So that game at Auburn was the launching pad for that undefeated Tiger football team.
Bengals send it away. Dante Hall brings it out of his own end zone. Reverses his field. And Hall goes down at the 24. Ethan Kilmer with the tackle. A 27-yard return. Welcome back to Arrowhead. Cincinnati is taking the lead. Sam Adams back in the game at nose guard. First down and 10 now for Trent at the 23 to the sideline. Tony Gonzalez and Torrey James is right there to haul him down.
Well, now, Gus, last drive we started off talking about the Kansas City defense, and that did them so much good they promptly gave up a touchdown. And the question has been on the defensive side for both teams. It's now, can Kansas City's offense get on track against what has been a questionable defense for Cincinnati.
Now scoring quickly would benefit Kansas City with 4:35 to go in the second quarter.
Take about 4 of the 4:35 be perfect.
Second and 10 at the 23. Green fakes the draw. Green in trouble. He's sacked. And that's John Thornton with the sack. Second sack of the day for Cincinnati.
I mean, that's just another case of Chuck Bresnahan's defensive line just collapsing the pocket on Trent Green. Not real spectacular. It's just they get there eventually. In this case, it was over Casey Wigman.
It's a loss of 7. Remember, this offensive line is not the same as it has been in the past.
Yeah, with Turley and Black on the outside, no Willie Roaf, no big, powerful type tackles.
Here's Green rolling out of the pocket. That's not his forte, and he is sacked again. Justin Smith. Kansas City having all sorts of protection problems. Willie Roaf is gone. Jordan Black starting at right tackle today for Kevin Sampson. Kyle Turley in at left tackle. He's been out of football for 2 years with a back injury. And they're also dealing with a suspension.
And what they're doing is they're getting pressure up the field and flushing Trent Green. That's where you want Trent Green. You want him running and trying to throw on the run. That is not anywhere close to what he likes. He'd rather be in that pocket and comfortable, and it's because the pocket's collapsing in his lap. He's not.
Colquitt 8 yards deep in his own end zone. This one off the side of his foot, and it goes out of bounds. Let's see where they mark the football.
Well, it's going to be well into Kansas City territory.
They mark it at the 37.5.
So also on that offensive line we talked about, you know, Waters didn't practice much in the preseason. Shields didn't practice much. And that Cincinnati defensive line has come in here to Arrowhead and really so far done a heck of a job. And I really think this is, you talk about places you want to be on opening day. We talked about it at the beginning. I love Arrowhead Stadium. I mean, it's red, it's loud, it's crazy. It's not real happy at the moment if the Chief fans.
And you think it's one of the toughest places to play.
This place, Invesco, FedEx, short list.
Carson Palmer winding up, dumps it off though to Rudy Johnson, who's dropped at the 30. Now Patrick Surtain with the tackle. And a complete list of Randy Cross's toughest stadiums in the NFL. My question is, why FedEx Field in Washington? What is the home of?
What's a conspiracy theory?
Yes.
We always thought we went in there, we had to beat the Skins and the officials.
Spoken like a true 49er, a complaining 49er. Second down and 2.
A ring wearing one too.
Rudy Johnson. And Rudy Johnson with all sorts of running room now. He is shredding this Kansas City defense. Finally stopped by Greg Wesley.
Gus, it's the offensive line difference. The offensive line isn't protecting Trent Green for Kansas City. The offensive line for Carson Palmer the last 2 drives is. And the offensive line is getting on bodies here. And that last drive took off the timing, took off the edge, took off the attack of the Kansas City D.
That takes us to the 2-minute warning with the score: Cincinnati 10, Kansas City 3. Bengals knocking on the door once again. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, plus a special preview of the U.S. Open Men's Championship between Roger Federer and Andy Roddick. It's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. First down and 10 at the 14 for Cincinnati. Rudy Johnson, Jeremy Johnson in the offset eye. Johnson 11 carries, 63 yards, including a touchdown. Here's Rudy again, and Rudy Johnson goes down at the 11. Sammy Knight, the safety, comes up, makes the tackle after a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, one thing that's a little bit different about this Bengal offense is usually when you see a quarterback screaming alternate signals, you think audible. And they're one of these teams with a guy like Johnson, they can audible to a run. It's not always audibleizing to a pass to take advantage of the defensive backfield. They'll audibilize to a run to take advantage of the front 7.
Second down and 7 at the 11. 126 and counting. Palmer rolling, throws it. Rudy Johnson out of the backfield. No, make that Kenny Watson, number 33, out of the backfield. Nice misdirection play by Cincinnati. And they have the ball now inside the 5. A timeout on the field, 1:09 to go, 10-3 Bengals. .109 to play in the second quarter. Cincinnati with the lead, the ball, and with good field position.
You see that difference in offense since that first quarter between these two teams, and that's all tied to the hurry up, to the no huddle. And that's that thing that Carson Palmer and Marvin Lewis have in their back pocket. You don't know when you're going to get hit with it. It might be at the beginning and might not be till early in the second quarter like today, but eventually you're going to have to prove you can stop it and you can deal with it, because it doesn't mean it's a passing offense. Heck, we've seen the best of Rudy Johnson since they went to the no huddle.
Jeremy Johnson sprinting off the field, and a flag.
Too many players on the field.
12 men in the huddle.
Cincinnati had 12 men in the huddle. That's a 5-yard penalty.
Of course, Reggie Kettley standing about the 20-yard line, waving his hands like, hey, what's going on? Might have drawn a little attention to it.
So 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. Now Kenny Watson checks in for Rudy Johnson.
Yeah, see the guy, he's running off the field, and Watson's out in the middle there. I mean, Kelly's out there in the middle. And this formation, this personnel grouping sure says pass.
They pitch it. Kenny Watson around the corner, turns it up, touchdown.
Is that perfect or what, Gus?
Perfect.
You take Rudy Johnson out, who's been the hammer. You bring in Watson, who you already ran a cute little play with a quick pass to. And this Kansas City defense is thinking just like me. This has got to be a pass. And Carson Palmer gives him a little flip. A nice job by Bob Bratkowski, the offensive coordinator, play calling and outguessing the Kansas City D.
Kenny Watson, a great change of pace back. He was sidelined most of last year with a torn bicep. Spent his first 2 years in Washington with the Redskins. And the extra point is up and good. So just like that, the Bengals jump all over Kansas City. Watson running hard. Cincinnati takes a 17-3 lead. Welcome back. Cincinnati with the lead. Gus Johnson along with Randy Cross. And Randy, Cincinnati just turning it on when they need to.
They started running that no huddle, and they just took Kansas City defense completely out of sorts. They're now being physically handled. They took the fire out of that Kansas City defense. That's been the difference. And I mean, that's how important that hurry-up no huddle is to Cincinnati. And it's a one thing, if I'm Herman Edwards, I have got to find a way to get the fire back on that D. I've got to give him that multiple look. I've got to start confusing Carson Palmer like I was earlier.
Shane Graham sends this one out of the end zone. Kansas City will have it at the 20. Thursday, the new survivor you've heard so much about will finally be here. 4 diverse tribes will try to outwit, outplay, and outlast each other in one of the most remote places on Earth. Don't miss the premiere of Survivor, Cook Islands, Thursday at 8, 7 Central on CBS, America's most watched network.
If you tuned into this game and heard me say at the beginning, this is the NFL's loudest outdoor stadium, right about now you got to be saying, what's this guy kidding? But they've really taken the crowd, and one of the biggest pluses about Arrowhead, completely out of the game.
Trent Green over the middle, and he finds Dante Hall, who's wrapped up at the 21. Landon Johnson with the tackle. Now Kansas City using the no huddle, under a minute to go.
It all comes down to blocking and tackling, and it's mostly being done by Bengals at this point.
Green up the sideline, incomplete, intended for Kennison, but Delta O'Neal was there defensively for the Bengals.
And Delta O'Neal was a little dinged up coming into this game. Jonathan Joseph, the rookie out of South Carolina, started the game for him, but we knew Delta would be available, and that's what he does well. he and Torrey James at corner are around the ball. You can always, if you see 20 and 24, you don't have to look anywhere else, because that football, if it's being thrown, is going to be somewhere near those corners.
3rd down and 4 at the 26. Trent Green over the middle, deflected, incomplete, and Kansas City has to punt it away again. John Thornton with the deflection, and the Bluebirds are starting to circle here at Arrowhead.
Well, I'll tell you, this has got nothing to do with new offensive emphasis. This has got a lot to do with bad execution. Herman Edwards' offense isn't able to execute against his defense, and his defense has lost the pop and sizzle that frustrated the Bengals early.
So Kansas City sends it away. High wobbly kick. Ratliff is back deep, and he has it at the 27. Goes down at the 30. Benny Sapp with the tackle on special teams for Kansas City, a 46-yard punt and a 2-yard return.
And Gus, this is something you don't really talk about very often, but it's worth noting. It's, you know, Marvin Lewis brought up a subject last night about Kansas City kind of having the pressure on them because they've got the new staff. They've got the new head coach. They've got some new assistants to adjust to. And there's a lot to that. And now this halftime will be the first test of what the new head coach and the new assistants can do as far as halftime adjustments, because there are some very basic halftime adjustments that have to be made by this Kansas City football team.
Carson Palmer takes the knee, and they will head into the locker room with a 17-3 lead on the road. So Herman Edwards, the Herman Edwards era, has not gotten off to a great start.
Well, the number one adjustment they got to make is they've got to discontinue the Cincinnati ability to put foot to backside of their football team. That is the biggest thing. This is not about X's and O's. To me, this is about attitude and edge, and it's something Kansas City has lost.
That's the end of the first half with the score 17-3. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
CBS Sports presents the Sprint Halftime Report. Sprint, together with Nextel. Power up.
All right, and welcome back to our New York studios and the Sprint Halftime Report. I'm James Brown, along with Dan Shannon and Boomer. Score at halftime, 17. Boy, look, you're smiling down there, Boomer.
Well, I'm smiling because I knew they were going to have a very good offense in Cincinnati. They kicked it in gear when they went back to the no huddle, JB. That's old school football in Cincinnati for you guys if you don't remember. But you can see now all of a sudden them starting to assert themselves both through the air and on the ground. And what happened to the offense in Kansas City? It's gone.
Boy, no question about that. All right, let's move through the highlights. Get you caught up. Broncos at St. Louis, Dan.
And the Rams defense is all over Denver. The new defensive coordinator, Jim Haslett, there in St. Louis, has them fired up and rolling. And fumbles recovered here by Pisa Kino Isamoa.
All right, Dan.
On the 5-yard line. Tatum Bell, he gets stripped of the ball. Will Witherspoon recovers it. Jake Plummer, 1 pick, 1 fumble on the day. St. Louis is all over Denver.
Boy, look at the Rams. 12-0, as you mentioned. Shannon, Ravens at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, JB, I hear Chris Sims is throwing the ball really well, and Chris McAllister can vouch for that. Too bad he played for the Ravens. He picks him off, and down the sideline he comes. 60 yards later, it's 6 points for the Baltimore Ravens, and they're up. Would go up at this point 14-0. Chris Sims looks dejected. Ravens are moving in to score again.
Ravens had 5 rushing touchdowns all of last season, 1 so far. Take a look next.
And John Carney, 43-yard field goal here. He has 3 on the afternoon. And you're looking for Reggie Bush. He's getting a little production out of him. The Saints, 7 carries for 40 yards. But look at this, the Browns in the first half offensively, only 18 total yards and no first downs.
And Reggie's added a couple more carries, 9 for 46. All right, Atlanta at Carolina. Boomer.
Yeah, we got a Keyshawn Johnson sighting, guys. Take a look at this. Nice little out pattern by Jake Delhomme, perfectly thrown. Nice route by Keyshawn. But how about this, Danny? You or I would probably pull a hamstring, a groin, a back muscle.
The Michael Vick experience, boom.
There it is. Hop on, fellas. I'll tell you.
18-yard gain.
But I'll tell you what, their defense is playing good. 6-3 right now. Atlanta's in the lead.
All right, low-scoring affair there. Buffalo at New England. Dick Geron, a Massachusetts native.
Down 7-0 at this point. Tom Brady finds Troy Brown's touchdown. 7-7. But here, Anthony Thomas, the A-train. 18 yards later, he's in the end zone. 17-7 Buffalo.
Wow, he comes with sound effects too, huh? I love that. 10-point lead, less than 30 seconds in the first. Boomer!
Hey, how about Chad Pennington, guys? It doesn't look pretty, but he gets there. Jericho Cotchery, 19-yard reception. This is going to lead to a 1-yard touchdown run by the newly traded for Kevin Barlow from the San Francisco 49ers. Jets up 7-0. Hey, Vince Young's on the field. Let's throw it down the sideline. You got to throw it, and you got to let it go, my man. Interception right there for the New York Jets. I'll tell you what, the defense is playing well for the Jets, as it seems like they are for most new coaches in the league.
Eric Mangini, of course, the hit man there. Eagles with a trip down to Houston to take on the Texans. And, of course, Gary Kubiak at the helm there. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Eagles at Texans.
And David Carr, a little fake pitch right here. They're trying to get him out of the pocket a lot more this year early in the game. He finds Eric Moles, 25 yards, touchdown. They go up 7-0. Look at his play action. Nice. He hides the ball. McNair wide open. Dante Stallworth, touchdown, 7-7.
And Dan, what was that you were saying during the rehearsal?
10-7.
Who needs what now?
T.O.
And that's exactly what they're saying.
Who needs T.O.?
Seattle at Detroit. What about the season of a lifetime?
Line to kick a field goal. Sean Rogers comes through, unblocked, blocks it. LeVar Woods recovered the football. And here's last year's MVP. But he's not MVP on this play. He fumbled the football. Corey Redding, no relation, I don't think. Otis Redding recovers his football. 3-0 in the first quarter. Now it's 6-3 Detroit.
He knows a little music as well. All right, folks. A preview of the U.S. Open men's final coming up as the Sprint halftime continues.
Welcome back to Arrowhead. Gus Johnson along with Randy Cross. Are you surprised with how the tempo of this game changed with the no-huddle offense by Cincinnati?
Well, the reason I mentioned at the very beginning is I think when you have a Carson Palmer offense and you're trying to defend it, you've got to start with that. So for a long answer to a short question, no, I'm not really surprised. But I'm surprised by how effective Carson Palmer. He's 7 of 7 since they got into that offense. An equal split between rush and pass. It's been a lot of Rudy Johnson and a lot of Carson Palmer.
And as you take a look at the first half statistics.
Yeah, the second quarter was basically all hurry up, no huddle offense, and there wasn't an answer for it from Kansas City. We're going to see a new staff, a new approach, how the adjustments come out at halftime.
So if you're Kansas City, what do you do, for Herman Edwards rather, what do you do to get your team going on both sides of the ball?
Well, I think especially offensively, you have to sort of get some blocking, give your quarterback some space. I think it would do well to contrast the pockets that Palmer's getting to the pocket that Green's getting, because they're totally different right now.
So Cincinnati receiving to start the third quarter. Tab Perry with a 14-yard return. And here comes Carson Palmer. That knee looked good in the first half. Remember, on January 10th, he had surgery, and you have to give a lot of credit to his doctor, Dr. Lonnie F. Paulus, out of Houston, Texas. He repaired Carson Palmer's knee, and he did a terrific job. You wouldn't even know that Palmer had such a severe injury.
Yeah, I tell you, that offensive line is taking care of their little brother at quarterback, too.
And they love him. Here's Palmer rolling out of the pocket. Throws on the run. Finds Reggie Kelly, the tight end. And Reggie Kelly goes down at the 34. An 8-yard pickup.
So, you know, if I'm a Bengal fan, I want to keep seeing this. I want to keep seeing, don't really call it a hurry up. It's just sort of a no huddle. They take their time. Carson calls the plays at the line of scrimmage. And it's a lot easier to call plays when a usually loud Arrowhead Stadium is pretty doggone quiet right now. He can literally talk to the guys on offense to call the plays.
2nd down and 2 at the 33. Rudy Johnson. And this time he goes backwards. Jared Allen gobbles him up. And that's one thing that Willie Anderson said yesterday when we talked to him. They really love Carson Palmer. And Willie said that most of the time, quarterbacks that are cool and relaxed